This is Bryce van Patten with Metal Express Radio Backstage. The Sweden-based band SOLE Syndicate has recently released their third album titled Into the Flames. And today I'm talking with Jonas Månsson, lead vocalist, guitarist for the band. How are you doing today, Jonas?
I am superb, actually. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. If someone knew nothing about your sound and you had to describe it, say, in an elevator pitch, what would you say?
Oh, that is really tricky, but a modern sound coming from three guys and one girl who grew up in the 80s listening to hard rock from basically most American hard rock, you know, like Van Halen, Extreme, stuff like that. And influenced by that, and then dressed it up in modern clothes.
Excellent. Do you remember the moment when growing up you knew that you wanted to or were going to be a musician and play music?
I do. I actually do remember the exact moment.
Excellent.
I have a brother who's 5 years older than me, so he introduced me to Kiss. He gave me the Kiss Alive 2 album. And from that moment on, I had one goal in life, and that was to, you know, play guitar, scream, be on stage, play rock and roll music.
Yeah, they had quite the incredible show.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, I saw those guys back in '77 on the Love Gun tour, which I believe is the same tour of that album.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're a lucky man.
Yeah. They had Cheap Trick opening the show, who I'd never heard of at the time. They were fantastic. It was... I'd never seen a show like that before or since. So I know vocalists never really want to be compared to somebody else, but on my first listening, your voice reminded me a little bit of Robin McCauley, maybe even Ronnie Romero. Can I ask who your favorite singers are that have influenced you in your music?
Robin McCauley is absolutely one of them. His albums on the McCauley Schenker group back in the 80s, 90s were so influential to me. I love his singing. I love the tone he has in his voice. It's so unique. So thank you for comparing me to him. That was a great honor. I love guys like David Coverdale in his prime days. I think he's a bit too old to go on tour right now, but you know, in the 70s and the 80s and maybe in the early 90s, he was fantastic. Well, those two guys were really influential for me. Yeah,
I have to say, I don't know if you've heard much of Robin McCauley lately, but I believe his voice is actually better than it was back then. And I'd read in an interview that since those days, he'd done a bunch of vocal training with like a professional, more like an opera singer that taught him more breathing techniques. And because when I saw him, I felt that he was even stronger than he was in the 80s, which is kind of rare when a person gets older, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he really holds up. I'm super amazed. I've listened to the Black Swan albums. He sings incredibly still. So
yeah,
impressive.
Fantastic singer. So I found your guitar work really awesome, and I was looking back through your older records and noticed that you were at one point the singer with two other guitar players. So can you tell me how this change came into play? And I mean, you're excellent on guitar. Why weren't you playing guitar before? Or just talk to me about this a little bit.
I am actually the guitar player on all three albums. Even
okay.
So the two guys that have credits for being guitar players on the second album, they came in after we recorded the album.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to focus on the songs, on the singing live.
Right.
But then things didn't really work out because of distance between us. Not musically, but, you know, geographically.
Physically, right.
Yeah, physically, right. So I decided I'm going to play the guitar. And maybe when we go on tour, we will have an additional guitar player just for live playing. So I've really been the guitar player since the first song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And who are some of your influences on guitar? Because I've noticed you have a very melodic style. just I don't know. You remind me of a mixture of several great guitar players from the '80s with a little bit of everything thrown in.
I was really influenced by, remember Vito Bratta from White Lion?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he had technique and melodies in a mix that was unique for him. Mm-hmm. And of course, he was inspired by Eddie Van Halen, so who isn't?
Right.
Yeah. And then, melodies like Joe Satriani, great melodic player. These days, I listen a bit much to Andy Timmons.
Mm-hmm.
I still love Steve Vai, although I can't play like him at all. but he's so fun to listen to and watch.
Right. Who can really? He's got quite a unique style all his own.
Yeah, he does.
So your band changed the lineup recently a bit. Can you talk about that and what Katja brings to the band?
Yeah, sure. We wanted someone to play keys, organs, stuff like that, because we had that on the album, but we couldn't really do it live, and we don't want to use backing tracks.
Mm-hmm.
What you hear from us is the four of us on stage, no backing tracks at all.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it is. It might sound better, when you go see a band and they sound incredible and the choirs and everything, but you never know, are they playing guitar? Who's singing? I want to know what they're doing on stage. So that's our motto. And then Katja lives close to us, and no one in the band knew her. We just got a tip from a friend of ours. So we called her up and said, "You want to, grab a cup of coffee and talk about being in the band?" And she said yes. And she listened to the previous albums, and the connection between the four of us was perfect. And she was on board instantly. And she's super nice and easy to work with, great personality, good piano player. She's actually a piano teacher when she's not playing heavy metal.
So she's definitely trained and knows exactly what she's doing. And
yeah, she's the only one in the band who can read notes and stuff like that. We're all by ear, so
sure, I understand.
It tells us when we do something wrong.
Yeah, is she on the album? All the keyboard parts, are they hers?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
When I write the songs, because I write most of the songs and all of the songs on the latest album, I sit in the studio where I'm at right now, and I got an idea, and then I play the guitar, I lay the bass, I play the piano, I program the drums, and I send it over to the band. And they listen, and they tweak, and they play their part and do it much better than me, because, I can play guitar and I can sing, but I'm the other things I can do very like an amateur. So that's the process.
Enough to put the song together and get your idea across, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, that took care of one of my questions. So your third full-length album, Into the Flames, came out just a couple weeks ago. Can you talk about your recording process when you actually were putting the album together? Thank you. I love the album. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. I am a super creative guy. I write music all the time. So they're a bit frustrated, the guys in the band, because we agreed on maybe 10 or 11 songs. We started recording them. And then I said, wait, I got a new idea. Okay. And those first 10, 11 songs, maybe 2 or 3 are still on the album. And we thought we had the perfect album. But then, I'm writing songs all the time. So the process is really me writing music, sending the files to them, demo files. They contribute, and they tell me what sucks and what is good. We're very open. We're friends, so we can talk to each other about what is good and what is not. So it's an ongoing process where I come with the ideas and they come with inputs, and that's the way we collaborate. Digitally. All the time digitally.
Do you do a lot of the recording right there in your studio?
Yeah, I do.
What about drums?
Henrik, the drummer, he has his own studio, so he records all the drums at his place, and then he sends me the files.
Excellent. So you guys are able to send him your stuff with a click track or something, and he's able to put on a whole new drum part. Exactly. And you guys kind of bounce things back and forth.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
It sure makes things nice to collaborate when multiple band members have studios, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
these days you don't have to have a really expensive music studio. Like David, the bass player, he has a decent computer and a good sound card and cable and blah, 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 and he sends it to me.
Mm-hmm.
It does, in the 20, 30 years ago, it was super expensive. These days, you can get a decent studio for not that much money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the old days too, like the band would get together to do a recording, and everybody kind of needed to be together, and you'd have all this time booked in an expensive studio and an expensive engineer. So kind of what you got, it was what you got. Where now, like you said, you might start out with 10 songs and keep 3 of them because you just keep adding ones that fit better with the other songs. And I felt your songs all really worked well together. I wasn't sure if there was a theme throughout the whole album, but it felt really connected. So anything you want to talk about on the lyrics for the album?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I like you're an older guy as me. So we grew up with listening to whole albums, reading the lyrics, listening from song 1 to song 10.
Exactly.
My son and people in the 18, 19, 20s, they listen to maybe one song on an album. They don't care about the rest of the songs.
Yeah, they skip around, like listen to 10 seconds on one, skip to another one. And
that's too bad because the best songs, the songs that stick with me from when I was growing up, those songs were not instant hits. They grew on me.
Right.
So the really great songs, you got to, digest them for a while before you understand how great they are.
Mm-hmm.
So they miss out a lot of good music these days.
Yeah, on the old. Sorry, I was just going to say on the old day, and vinyl's back, but you would put it on, and so you're going to hear the first side all the way through. You're not going to skip around and run over to the record player. And albums were designed to be heard. This side all works together. You flip it over, the other side all works together, and then usually has a concluding song.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's what your album was doing.
There's a lot of thought going into, the order of the songs and everything. And lyric-wise, this album, it's pretty dark and depressive lyric-wise. And maybe that is due to, the time that we are in and the time that we have the last 2-3 years with COVID. And here in Europe, we're quite affected by, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There's a lot of fugitives coming to Sweden, and we see on the news every day and stuff like that. Really affects me when I'm writing music. I can't just write love songs when I'm not in the mood.
Right.
Then some of the songs are. I'm not always a deep guy. Sometimes it's just rock poetry, rhyming words. For me, the biggest selling point is a good melody.
Right.
If you don't have that, you can write a great lyric and no one will listen to it. So, but if you can combine them, great melody and a great lyric, then you're home.
Exactly. So I've talked to a lot of musicians, and I know some guitar players will write sometimes based on the riff and then write over the top of that. Like when I spoke with Graham Bonnet and found out that most of his songs, he has the guitar player or somebody write a large portion of the whole song, and then he spends several weeks just crafting a melody and lyrics to fit that, whereas you do both. So do you start with a melody sometimes where you just get a melody in your head, or do you do a little bit of both, or how does it come to you?
I start with an idea on the piano or the guitar, a riff, a chord progression. And I just record that with a click track. I put my headphones on, take the microphone out, and I start to sing. I don't care what I'm singing. The words is not important. I try to find a great melody, things that flow over the chords.
Right.
And not seldom the thing that I sing the first time ends up being part of the lyrics as well.
Right. So you're just finding a good melody and a good timing and phrasing that works with that. And you could have been singing anything. It doesn't really matter. And then you come back and fit in the perfect words for it.
And sometimes it's Swinglish. There are
explain Swinglish.
Well, Swedes are pretty good at English, but sometimes you just sing stuff that doesn't make any sense grammatically, or doesn't mean anything. You just you're in the flow. You want to get it on tape,
right?
Then I have to rewrite the lyrics, but the theme of the lyrics when I start singing is often the theme of the song,
right? So you kind of get an idea and then work that as you go, right? Yeah.
And sometimes my band colleagues ask me, "What is this song about?" And I just say, "Don't ask. I have no idea." And then I have to do some writing, so it's
right, to polish it up and everything, for sure.
Yeah.
So how has the pandemic affected your career as a musician?
Pretty much, actually. We released The Last Days of Eden when the pandemic hit us hard.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't played one show on that album. We've been waiting, frustrating, and I'm playing in different bands. This is not my only band. I have a cover band that's been going on for 25 years. I have a country band.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, sure. We won the Swedish championship in country music.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So, everything was on hold. So we didn't play, we didn't rehearse, the only thing we did was write music. We wrote the album.
Mm-hmm.
But it was frustrating. And I think every musician in the world agrees on that.
Right.
And now, when it's over, everybody wants to get out and play. So, there are festivals and shows every day in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any festivals coming up? Are they still doing the Sweden Rock Festival?
Sweden Rock was in June, so it's over.
Did you play that one?
No, we didn't. I was there, though, but we didn't play it. Hopefully next year.
You guys should, for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we will try.
There's that and Wacken.
Yeah, Wacken would be cool. That's Germany, right?
Right. That's the big one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I understand you're on Scarlet Records out of Italy. How is that working out for you guys? And anything you want to talk about with that label?
Well, it's a small label, but we're still a small band. And when we signed with them, we agreed on let's grow together. We could probably be on a bigger label, but then we would put aside. We want someone that listens to us, takes care of us. Although they're not super big, they're super nice to work with. We have a great relation, and we talk all the time, and try to make strategic decisions together. So hopefully we can grow together. We need to grow our fan base, and we think the music is good enough. We just need to get out there, and that's hard. That's the hard part.
Right. I think you guys are definitely sound good enough to be in the big time, and so. Is Scarlet Records, are they more hands-off, where they let you create everything and then submit the record, and then they pretty much just, you're in charge? Yes,
we are. They have opinions, what the first single should be, what the artwork should look like, but they have super confidence in us that we will provide them with good music, and they haven't said anything more than great things about the songs that we've written for them. So super happy with that relationship.
Yeah, it must be nice to have that kind of freedom as an artist and creator, that you can put out a record and not have the label say, we don't think this is working, or you know what I mean, get involved in it. So does the band have plans for a tour coming up this year, or what would you say 2022 has in store for SOLE Syndicate?
Hopefully in the fall. We are rehearsing like maniacs now. Every day this week we've been rehearsing. We want to go out. We want to go out on tour, sounding really good. It's a chance for us to have a growth in the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go out and play, and people, what is this? I want to buy the record. I want to follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So we want to be super prepared before we take any shows.
For sure.
But that would be a disaster, to come out and people have expectations and we can't play the songs.
Right. I've talked to a few bands that feel like they're quite stage rusty from the pandemic.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And doing like you've been spending all their time in the studio creating, but not on stage together working on their show and so forth. So
we were rehearsing 8 o'clock this morning before I went to work, because the four of us are working 100% on other full-time jobs. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
well,
hopefully we can tour this fall. Sweden, Norway, Europe would be perfect, and
any plans to hit the States?
We would love to do that, but there are no plans to the States.
Okay. Well, I wait for that day because I would love to see you guys live.
Likewise. Thank you.
So here's just kind of a fun question. If you could go on tour with any act that's currently out, still making records, like a dream pick, who would that be?
Should I base that on the size of the stadium or the band?
Anything you want. This is just like one of those, like, who would be like the perfect fit for you guys to tour with that would also be, you know what I mean? And hopefully they're listening.
Okay. Super hard question. If I could choose any band to tour with, well, what about Kiss?
Sure. They still have a huge following. They just, I believe they just played not too long ago.
Yeah, they did in Stockholm, or in Gothenburg, actually, not a week ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, to tie the knots when the Kiss took me into this and to go on their end of the road tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if I could reunite one band and go on tour with, that would be Queensryche.
Oh, excellent.
The Operation Mindcrime setting.
Yeah, that's still probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, mine too.
Certainly my favorite album out of the 80s.
Yeah.
Because it works perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't listen to it and turn it off. You have to finish the album.
Talk about having thought about which songs should be in which order.
Musically and everything about them. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you'd like to throw in, or anything you'd like to shout out to fans, or where's the best place to find you guys online?
We're more active on Facebook and Instagram, I think. We have a homepage with some material, some videos. We release a new video this Monday on the third single of the album called Count to Zero.
Excellent.
Yep. So check that out.
Excellent. Okay. Well, it's been great talking to you. The band SOLE Syndicate, third album, Into the Flames on Scarlet Records. Great metal with classic metal vocals, pyrotechnic guitars, and a modern feel that keeps you coming back for more. Everybody should check them out. And thank you, Jonas, for joining me today, and best to you and the band.
Thank you, Bryce.